Okay, let's go ahead and get started. If everybody would go ahead and rise, we're going to go ahead and do the prayer and the pledge of allegiance of the flag.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time. We thank you for the wonderful county that you allow us to call home. Thank you for wisdom for this council. Thank you for a wonderful wonderful community of citizens who make us what we are and who we are. Give us your wisdom, give us your blessings, and we thank you for everything and all that you are and all that you do, and for all the reasons that you do them. In Jesus' most precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stepp. That was great. All right. I would welcome everybody. All right. The agenda tonight, okay, the council's had the agenda of tonight. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda tonight?
Mr. President, if I
Yes.
may.
Sure.
Under County Manager's report, may I enter in a agenda item for a letter of support for the refunding of CADE funding for Chesapeake College?
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
Okay. All right, we got a motion second to go ahead and move the agenda item for Chesapeake College. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, that's good. All right. Next on the agenda is the minutes. We've got January 16th and January 23rd, and the council's had time to take a look at it. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes? Okay. Hearing none, and moves that the minutes be accepted as unanimous consent. All right, next on the agenda is the disbursements of January 30th, February 6th, and February 13th. The council's had a chance to take a look at them. Is there any deletions, corrections, or additions to the disbursements?
Nope.
Okay, good, good. All right, hearing none, the chair moves that the disbursements be accepted as unanimous consent. Okay. All right, starting off tonight is Proclamation of American Heart Month. Madam Secretary, could you go ahead and read the proclamation, please, into the record?
American Heart Month, February 2024. Whereas heart disease, which includes heart attack, stroke, and other cardiovascular diseases, is the leading cause of death of an estimated 695,000 Americans each year, affecting both men and women of all economic and ethnic backgrounds. And whereas, although genetic factors play a role in many instances of cardiovascular disease, one of the nation's most costly and widespread health problems, it is also one of the most preventable diseases when each individual takes responsibility for his or her own health and the health of our children by exercising regularly, maintaining a healthy weight, eating balanced and nutritious meals, avoiding use of tobacco, using alcohol in moderation, and working with a healthcare provider to prevent or treat conditions which can lead to heart disease. And whereas a lethal complication that can develop while having a heart attack is sudden cardiac arrest, which is a leading cause of death, claiming nearly 356,000 lives each year. During a sudden cardiac arrest, heart function ceases abruptly and without warning. When this occurs, the heart is no longer able to pump blood to the rest of the body, and in some 90% of victims, death occurs. And whereas, once a cardiac arrest occurs, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, and defibrillation are required within the first several minutes to restore electrical activity to the heart and to revive the heart's pumping function. And the availability of automated external defibrillators, AEDs, is critical for rapid response to cardiac arrest. And whereas the Talbot County Department of Emergency Services, in partnership with the Talbot County Paramedic Foundation, the Talbot County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association, the Maryland Institute for Emergency Medical Services, and the University of Maryland Shore Regional Health coordinates a comprehensive countywide approach to addressing cardiac care through public education and state-of-the-art life-saving services. Now therefore, we, the County Council of Talbot County, do hereby proclaim February 2024 as American Heart Month in Talbot County and urge all citizens to support the American Heart Association's initiatives toward healthier lifestyles and increased physical activity, and to receive life-saving CPR training as an investment in our community and its residents to help eradicate the risk of this deadly disease, both for today and for the future. Given under our hands in the Great Seal of Talbot County, this 13th day of February in the year of our Lord, 2024.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second to put that into the record. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Okay, our new EMS Division Chief, Tina, you want to come on up? Yeah. Maria, you want to come on up? Yeah, there we go. There we go. I'm going to make you talk a few minutes. Okay. You can sit down if you want. Yeah. I thought it might be a great opportunity to you're new, so I wanted to introduce you and introduce your team. We got a lot of good people here that take care of us, so if
Mr.
you don't
Council,
mind.
Mr.
Yeah, go
Council
ahead.
President, if I
Yeah.
might, yeah, so we're real excited to have
Yeah.
Tina on board, and we haven't had the opportunity, so we should take it right now. So this is Tina Kentop. Tina comes to us as a retired captain for the Annapolis Fire Department. She's a paramedic. She's also active, a member of the Queen Anne Hillsborough Volunteer Fire Department. We saw her there the other night at the banquet. So we're really excited to have her on board. She works under Brian LaKesides, the Director of Emergency Services, but she heads up our EMS division. So she's been with us a little while, and I think she's still drinking water out of the fire hose, getting up to speed, but we're really happy to have her here. And so this is Chief Tina Kentop.
Good. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, that's great. Great. Do you want to introduce some of your team members?
I
If you
absolutely
don't mind, if you could mind, stand up and come on up and stand behind.
Stand
Yep.
up. First of all, I would like to introduce Rachel Cox.
Yes.
She is instrumental in our CPR AED program.
Yep. Okay.
We have Lieutenant Rice.
Okay.
We have Mr. Roberts here.
And who is that now?
Mr.
Mr.
Jones.
Roberts. Mr. Roberts.
Mr.
I do know him. I do know him.
Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones.
Cummings, and people will walk in. Hi, how are you?
That's great.
This is Casey Evergan.
That's great.
These are all people that are working today,
Mhm.
And they are monitoring their radios, so they are in service, keeping everyone safe.
Good.
But this is a great example, including the Talbot Paramedic Foundation.
Yep.
If you want to stand up as well.
Come on, Bill. Come
The
on
two
up here.
people that couldn't
Come on,
be
man.
here this evening,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Come on up.
all of these people are instrumental in the chain of survival. All of them. The two people that couldn't be here this evening, they work at the cath lab at Easton Hospital. Of course, they were busy doing cath lab things, so it's very important for them to be where they are. So, but you know, we start with the 911 calls, the dispatchers. They tell people what to do. We have our CPR coordinator who gets training and AEDs out into the community, and we have all of our personnel here who
That's great.
keep people educated all the time and obviously respond to calls at your home.
That's great.
And
That's
another
great.
key component, Mr. Council President, is healthy heart.
Yep.
And of course, we have our health officers here
Yep.
as well that can probably speak to that
Yeah.
as
Go
well.
ahead, Maria.
Well, thanks for inviting me tonight.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure to see everyone. And also, we at the Health Department just want to thank the County Council for bringing attention to Healthy Heart Month with this proclamation. And as Ms. Moran articulated in the proclamation, heart disease is preventable, and that's one of the things that we at the Health Department stress is that there's a lot of simple ways where you can help prevent your own heart disease, such as getting adequate hours of sleep, 7 to 9 hours every night, knowing your numbers, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, managing stress, and trying to get more fruits and vegetables in your diet, and just moving. And so there's a lot of things that you can do to empower yourself as well as empowering yourself to help others by becoming CPR certified and learning how to use an AED. Anyone can do it. It's really not that hard. And take a look around the community. You'll see a lot of AEDs available, and you can save a life too.
That's great. That's great. So, okay, council?
No, I mean, just
Mhm.
appreciate all you guys do, day in, day out, 24/7, 365. There's no breaks. There's no getting off of work for your team. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Those who I personally know who you've saved their lives, it's a blessing to have you all. So thank you.
Thank you for the training and awareness that you are providing. I was able to take a CPR course last spring, and who were the trainers but your team? They're out there in the community. They're providing this and making sure that we have a community that's ready to support you before, if we're there before you can get there.
Yes, and I want to thank you too for your services. I have had a very good friend who, it was great benefit to him, your services, and helped save his life for a significant period of time, so you're appreciated.
And I'll echo what my colleague said. We certainly appreciate all the hard work and your dedication to serving the people of Talbot County, and thank you for bringing this to the public's attention so that we can all be a little bit more conscious of what we can do to prevent heart disease. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and I want to just follow up with my colleagues. I can't thank you guys enough, and I want to welcome you. I'm really glad you chose Talbot County, that's for sure, to come here. And I just want to put a little bit of special thanks out to Kelly Jones. Kelly, you and me got in the fire department at 18 years old, and I think you started in Cordova, didn't you? Yep. So, and you stuck with it for 40 years, 42 years, and your dedication to Talbot County is really, I don't even know how to say it. You know, I'll get chills just thinking about it. You saved a mess of lives. You've done a lot of work, and that's not just Kelly, but all of you. And I just had the pleasure of working with Kelly and him being chief and telling me what to do. So, you know, but you guys, I really appreciate everything you've done. We can't thank you enough. You're top notch. And anything this council can do to help you, we're here for you too, okay? So we got a proclamation for you. If you guys want to come on up.
Tall people in the back, shorter people up front.
Clay jumped in this one. Clay jumped in. Yeah, he did. Can you see everybody? Can everybody see?
I think we're good. Yep. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, close that. All right, guys.
All right, good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Exactly. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Kelly?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that was great. Okay, we got another great thing. We got Dr. DeShields. He's coming up in front of us. Dr. DeShields, you want to come on up? I want to welcome you. He's going to give us a presentation on the Bellevue Museum project at this point.
Yes. Thank you so much
Yes,
for
sir.
allowing us to come and speak with you about an update regarding the Bellevue Passage Museum. Again, my name is Dennis Shields, and this is Mr. Philip Logan, who is the architect for the project.
Welcome.
We'd also like to just say thank you for your continued support of the project. And also, we are requesting to enter a MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding. We recently submitted our site plans to critical area for review, and Mr. Philip Logan is going to give you a brief presentation of some updates.
Okay.
This has been almost a year, 2-year process. We presented before, so this is just an update. The plans have not changed. We've modified and perfected them. We've worked also with DBF, is the civil engineer. Drawings have been submitted to Talbot County Planning and Zoning, and the submission has gone to critical areas. So we're now in the critical area review. We do have a conditional approval, and as you can see, this is the ferry on the right, the landing, the marina, the road that comes to Bellevue, past the Bellevue Road is this road here, and the museum is a small building here, which is the historic building, which we're recycling into as the main feature of the museum, and an annex building. Plus, there's an adjacent lot that the DeShields family owns, and that is now a community garden. So the two are going to work in tandem to create this sort of community center, and that is still the main concept. So that has not changed. And so that's this is the plan of the old museum being recycled. There's a terrace out front that has a community gathering spot that's elevated about 3 feet above the level of the park, so students can come in that space, have an outdoor presentation about the history of the workmen of Bellevue, the history of Bellevue, and they go into the old building here and then walk down the other side into the annex. This is a view of the old building with its new siding, very similar to what's happening at the Maritime Museum with the benches that go down to the shore, so you get a view of the water behind on the other side. This is the annex building. The first floor of the annex would be a gallery, open gallery space for showing of artifacts related to the Bellevue history, as well as possible new artists that might be shown as well. The second floor would be more of an open community space for community development, gatherings, meetings, to sort of generate an interest and rebuild the community of Bellevue that over the years, the only place that is currently available is the church. So this would be the second building in Bellevue that would actually attract people and hopefully rekindle a desire for families to move back or really build a new generation. And obviously you can always hear more about that. And these are just the exterior views that we're developing, and these are being submitted. This is a planting plan. We're adding a fair amount of trees to meet critical areas. And you can see the kitchen garden, which will become open to the community, but it's also become a teaching space. So, so that we can teach composting, traditional plantings as well. So that's about it, I think, right?
Okay. Open for discussion.
No questions. I appreciate
yeah.
appreciate the update on this and the additional renderings that give us and the rest of the public an eye toward what we can look forward to there.
I'll echo what Vice President Lesher just said. It's nice to see this evolution, the new drawings each time, and just see this moving down the road. It's going to be a wonderful addition to Bellevue for sure.
Yep.
I'd like to thank both of you for this this great promotion of the history and the preservation of Bellevue. I've always considered Bellevue to be the Tulsa of Talbot County. So what you guys are doing is fabulous, and keep going, keep doing it.
Keisha?
Yes, I echo what my colleague said. Certainly, Bellevue is a beautiful place, having my grandfather live on Gate Street. So I'm excited about the progress of the museum. So I look forward to it coming to total fruition so that I can come down there and help with the teaching of the kids in the kitchen as well. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Yep, like my colleague said, I appreciate everything you've done. You're doing a good job. It's great to be partners with you on this and helping you all the way. So, Madam Secretary, could you go ahead and read this into the record?
Read.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I just want to make is there a motion? I'm sorry.
Motion to
Yeah.
approve the
Yep.
MOU.
Second.
Okay, okay, we've got a motion second to go ahead and approve the MOU. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good job.
yep. Okay, next on the agenda is council discussion on a proposed text amendment. When Madam Secretary gets straight here, she can read that into the record. Burry, you want to come on up when you get a chance?
Just read it into the record. Council, this is application by 25876 Royal Oak LLC, The Oaks, to allow inns and hotels with restrictions in the Village Hamlet VH zoning districts by special exception.
Okay. Patrick, you want to go ahead and start and sort of explain this, what we're going to do here?
Yes, so as Ms. Morris noted, this is a zoning text amendment that was requested by Mr. Parker on behalf of his client.
Mm-hmm.
The proposed amendment would permit hotels, motels, and inns in the Village Hamlet District by special exception. The use would be subject to certain conditions in addition to the standard special exception criteria as follows. Hotels must be located on parcels at least 3 acres in size, contain not more than 25 overnight guest rooms, be located within 500 feet of an existing restaurant or overnight lodging, be served by public sewer, and be accessed by a public road.
Okay, all right. Welcome, Mr.
Thank you. Good evening.
Yep.
I'm Burry Parker. I represent the proponent of this text amendment. This is not an earth-shattering change that we're asking for. It arises out of the change in the zoning ordinance in November 2018, which changed the ordinance regarding our villages and created something called the Village Hamlet Zone. When that was done, it eliminated hotels and inns as either permitted uses or special exception uses in the VH zoning district, even though in one of the VH zoning districts in the county, namely Royal Oak, there had been a hotel and inn in almost continuous operation since 1901, and that is the Oaks today. For a long time, we all remembered as the Pasadena Inn. So suddenly, a business that attracts tourism and employment, and one of the goals of the comprehensive plan is to encourage the survival, modification, modernization, enlargement of tourism-related businesses, suddenly allowing that to happen with regard to a business that's been in existence since 1901 evaporated. This text amendment is a request to reinstitute the opportunity for a more than 100-year-old business, as well as possible other tourism-related businesses in a VH zoning district to come forward and prosper. The VH zoning district, if you look at the table of uses, this is one page, there's about 15 of these pages. And under the VH zoning district, if you look at it, there are a number of much more intensive commercial uses allowed in the VH zone than this text amendment would allow. There are uses, nursing homes. You could have 150 room nursing home, for example. So there are uses, there are auto repair facilities, gas stations with no guardrails. The text amendment that I've drafted and submitted to you has guardrails in it, in the sense that there must be at least 3 acres. There's a limitation on the number of rooms. It must be served by public sewer, must be accessed by a public road. And that is why I'm saying this is not an earth-shattering change in planning and zoning for the county. It's just an opportunity to restore and encourage a use that is consistent with the goal of the comprehensive plan and allows a long-standing use, in this case, to grow and modify over and above the very small limits that are allowed to non-conforming uses, which is just 20% of gross floor area. So that's the rationale behind the request, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, okay.
I just had one question.
Yeah.
Can you explain what you mean by saying it is a goal of the comprehensive plan to have this redesignation?
Well, it is a goal of the plan to encourage the survival, modification, enlargement of tourism-related businesses in the county. That's mentioned in one of the subsections of the comp plan, and I cited that in the letter that I sent you last week.
Okay, great. Good.
No
You good? Any questions? Yeah.
There's some very specific language in here that seems to pertain to the property across the street from the Pasadena, with the Oaks.
It does, but it also would apply to other properties in VH zoning districts. There was one in particular that it applies to off of Bellevue Road in the Royal Oak VH zoning district, not owned by my client, not targeted by my client or anything. But many of your VH zones properties aren't now served by public sewer. So that guardrail that I put in here, it doesn't qualify other properties that I've been able to identify. But if public sewer were extended to some of the other village zones, other properties could be eligible to apply for a special exception to locate a small hotel or inn.
You're looking at that across the street property where I mean, we all remember there were cottages there that I guess were rented out, 40 years ago or something like that before they fell into disrepair?
They were probably rented out, they were torn down in 2019, and they were probably rented out as late as 2014, something like that.
Really?
They weren't particularly nice, but there were bike trips that came down, and they would rent those cottages and stay there.
And for our zoning officer, Royal Oak is not the only village hamlet zone. We have Bosman, McDaniel, Y Mills that are also zone VH. Am I missing some?
There may be one or two more. However, if you all choose to move forward with this, we'll provide a full comprehensive analysis of the other VH zone properties, and we'll probably do some additional research to find which properties, based on their size and the other criteria involved in the requirements that Mr. Parker has included in this language, would possibly qualify for this amendment in particular.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just a reminder, this is to be a special exception use with additional requirements than those that are imposed upon normal special exception applications.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, at this time, with this, we're going to need a motion and a second to move this text amendment to the Planning Commission for review. That's what we're going to need. So is there a motion to move this forward?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so now this will head to the Planning Commission.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the public hearing. Okay, Madam Secretary, go ahead and please read the 338 into the record.
Resolution number 338, a resolution to amend the Talbot County Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan for consistency with discharge permit number 19DP 3460, issued by the Maryland Department of the Environment on October 27, 2022, and to require that any future expansion of the new Lakeside wastewater treatment plant shall require an amendment to the Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'm going to open it up. We will have 3 minutes for individuals and 5 minutes for an organization. So I'll open it up to the public. Anybody here on my left want to come on up and speak about 338? You're welcome to come up. Yes. Yes, yeah. Yes, sir. Yep, come on up.
Mr. President, do you want me to give a summary of the resolution and amendment?
Sure.
Before?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Resolution 338 proposes to amend the comprehensive water and sewer plan for consistency with the discharge permit issued by MDE for the Lakeside wastewater treatment plant in October of 2022. The resolution would also require that any future expansion of the wastewater treatment plant beyond the initial 100,000 gallon per day allocation under the MDE permit would require an amendment to the plan. And then amendment number 1 to the resolution clarifies that an amendment to the plan would include a certification by the Planning Commission that the amendment is consistent with the county's comprehensive plan pursuant to 9506A of the Environment Article.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
Good evening. I am Jim Bruce. I live in St. Michael's. I'm here today representing the Talbot Preservation Alliance, TPA. We support 2 proposals on Lakeside that are before you today, and I will mention which ones they are at the end. I think Talbot citizens all agree that we love the quality of life here. That is no accident. As you know, 50 years ago, the county began under state law writing 10-year comprehensive plans about future growth. The county insisted that development projects be consistent with those plans. That has served us well. As for Lakeside, the procedural history of the project over the past 20 years has been complicated, to say the least. Yet TPA believes that the core issue in this hearing is clear. That issue is what kind of review of development projects should our citizens, your constituents, expect? Will the county council provide that as Lakewood moves forward? I submit that citizens expect that the Lakeside project review will be timely and it will capture the full impact on residents throughout the county. So it must include the projected impact of the development project on schools, on county roads, and other items that may not be covered by the developer or by impact fees. You know, I would just note that schools are half the county budget. The taxpayer, I believe, does not want to wind up holding the bag in increased taxes or in diminished quality of life or of the environment. The county council and the Talbot County Planning Commission are responsible for that kind of review, not the town of Trout. It's the county residents, all of us, who will shoulder the big ticket cost burden of new schools and other items such as local, state roads resulting from the project. On the other hand, MDE's review is of wastewater permits and other environmental issues, not the impact on the need for new schools and other big ticket items. I urge you in considering these proposals before you to focus like a laser on who will do the review going forward and when. To ensure review of a development project's impact on schools, you need to review for consistency with the county's overall comprehensive plan. And that's done by the Planning Commission and the council. MDE review of a wastewater treatment expansion will not do that. Currently, Lakewood can move ahead as long as the allowable 100,000 gallons per day of waste treatment is not exceeded. To exceed that, the developer and TRAP must come back for MDE review and get an amendment to the county and water sewer plan. But here again, MDE's review is just a technical review of the wastewater permit, not an updated look at the project's impact on big-ticket items like schools. Further, based on the number of Lakewood units built so far, about 100 a year, those 1,200 units will not be built for perhaps 1,200, about 12 years or more. Even then, current plans don't call for the review we seek until Lakeside runs out of S1 units and comes back to convert lots from S2 to S1. At that point, there could be 1,500 units being built. In short, under current plans, updated review of Lakewood's impact on big-ticket items like schools won't occur for about 12 to 15 years. That is longer than the length of the decade-long county comprehensive plan itself. The County Planning Commission and their Public Works Advisory Board want review earlier than that on Lakewood's impact. How do we know? Because they recommended adoption of Amendment Number 1 to Resolution 338 unanimously. That amendment provides that once Lakewood comes back for that expansion of wastewater capacity, there must be an amendment to the wastewater treatment plan, but also there must be certification by the Talbot County Planning Committee that the expansion is consistent with the Talbot County Comprehensive Plan. That would cover the impact of big-ticket items like schools, county roads, and so on. This same amendment is contained in more than one proposal before you. So again, I submit that citizens expect reasonable periodic review of the Lakeside project. It must include updated review of the impact on schools, state roads, traffic, as a part of determining consistency with the overall comprehensive county plan. TPA supports Resolution 338 with Amendment Number 1, and we support Resolution 347 with Amendment Number 2. Either one provides the kind of real review that is needed. And so we support those two provisions. I will only come before you now, and I hope you would consider my comments for the other amendment. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. Okay. Anybody over here to my left would like to come on up? Okay. I don't think so.
We should.
Hey, Jeff. Do we have a sign-up sheet?
He can call him by name.
We don't have one for this.
Hi.
Hey, Harry.
My name's Carly Landolfi. I'm the assistant town attorney for TRAP.
Okay.
You should have received today a letter from Lindsay Ryan, the town attorney, reiterating the town's position on Resolution 338. So I just want to say again that the town opposes this resolution and Amendment 1. The resolution impedes the town authority to control growth within its incorporated boundaries. And ultimately, it treats the town of Trapp differently than other municipalities who manage their own growth and planning.
Okay.
So the town opposes this resolution.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, anybody else on my left here? Okay, here, on my right, yep.
Thank you
Yeah.
for allowing me to comment. President Callahan, Vice President Lesher, Councilman Stepp, Councilwoman Milky, and Councilwoman Hayes.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you,
Okay.
I almost forgot that.
Okay.
My name is Lisa Gezzi, and I'm a resident of Talbot County. I live at 7218 Travelers Rest Road. I'm sorry, I live off of Travelers Rest Road at 7218 Maxmore Creek Drive. Please support Resolution 338, Amendment 1. This still allows for economic development and for lakeside development, but with the important guidance in place to ensure that Talbot County provides appropriate infrastructure in sync with development. It's not prudent to approve of homes being built well in advance of their actual build date. In fact, decades in advance of the immediate priority status allowed by the S1 determination. Why would we write a blank check? Talbot County needs to keep its eye on the best interests of all county residents, not just a few, by considering thoughtful policies, timing, development patterns, and land uses impacted by this development. Would we give approval for 100, 200, 500, 1,000 homes 20 to 30 years in advance to every developer? No. Talbot County needs to be thorough in its planning process and work with the developers, the county planning staff, and county residents to create the best environment for all of its inhabitants. Based on my analysis and service on the Planning Commission, TRAP's legal counsel's argument is an overused tactic and simply wrong. This attorney is articulate, but is also playing the don't mess with TRAP card. Talbot County is not interfering in TRAP's affairs. Thankfully, Talbot County's representatives are doing their job and playing it straight. The Council's Public Works Advisory Board and Talbot County Planning Commission advisors to you, all 10 of them, voted unanimously in favor of this resolution and amendment. I ask Talbot County Council, each of you, to be mindful, once again, of creating the best environment for all of its citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
May I
Ms. Gezzi.
approach and share my
Sure.
email that
Sure.
I've been having email trouble, so it hasn't gone out to everybody.
Mhm. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else on the, yep?
Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, members of council, my name's Alan Gerard. I'm the Eastern Shore Director with Chesapeake Bay Foundation, 114 South Washington Street in East End. We are here in support of Resolution 338 amended. This resolution requires periodic checks. And in just looking at the issues today facing Lakeside, facing this council, I'm asking myself, even now, would periodic checks make sense, let alone in the future? So just a list of some of the issues happening right now with this project. Number one, you have the existing wastewater plant in non-compliance with its permit in 5 of the last 13 quarters. Number two, you have the comprehensive water and sewer plan authorizing service to approximately 84 homes, but 306 homes have been recorded, 114 have been issued building permits, and 106 are authorized to be occupied. Number 3, you have MDE asking for information about the timing of development, and the Planning Commission is required to use a timing of development standard in its review, yet the developer insists its EDU phasing does not represent the timing of development. Number 4, you have the town of Trepp requesting for the whole project immediate priority service or service in 3 to 5 years, yet the town's attorney says it will be at least 20 years before the whole project will be built out. Number 5, you have the county engineer who just last week said that we made the mistake of calling the lower half of Lakeside S2W2. Number 6, you have the Maryland Supreme Court who says that a planning commission has the right to correct errors in its decisions caused by a mistake. Number 7, you have members of the Planning Commission and Public Work Advisory Board finding the unambiguous purpose and intent recitation in one resolution not unambiguous at all. Number 8, you have county fiscal impacts of the project largely unaddressed. Number 9, and you've got the MDE in court because it claims without evidence that Lakeside's wastewater system will cause 0 discharge of nutrients to groundwater. So that's the top 9 here, just to make it 10. You know, about 4 years ago, the Maryland Department of Environment was asked to authorize 540,000 gallons per day discharge in its permit for Lakeside. It decided to issue a permit only for the first 100,000 gallons so that it could have periodic checks on this system. Given all the issues, all the complexity, all the community concern, Talbot County should require periodic checks too. We urge you to adopt Resolution 338 as amended and give the county the tools it needs to ensure that its citizens and the environment are protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gerard. Appreciate it.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Chip Council here this evening representing the Talbot County Planning Commission, and I have with me Jim Corson, a member of the Planning Commission. So we'll be pretty brief here, but I think it's important to note that the Planning Commission has spent more time on the issues surrounding Lakeside than we did on the total entire update of the 2016 Talbot County Comprehensive Plan and the following updates to Chapter 190, our zoning ordinance. The support of Resolution 338 as amended is the only issue surrounding Lakeside that the Planning Commission has been unanimous and unwavering on. So I would ask that you please take that into consideration as you do your deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, anybody else like to come up and speak? Okay. All right, at this time, council?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Talbot County Comprehensive Plan Vision Statement states that the primary goal of Talbot County's comprehensive plan is to promote a high quality of life, to preserve the rural character of our county, and to protect the health, safety, and well-being of its citizens in a resilient community. What 338 is designed to do is to make sure that all the citizens of Talbot County are protected. This is not just about what TRAP wants or what TRAP needs. It's about this whole county, and we represent the citizens of this county and have to do what's right. There have been many letters submitted that have misstatements of fact, and of course that goes back to the council hearing where 281 was passed, where representations were made that the Lakeside was programmed when it wasn't, and a decision was made on that basis. There were also representations made that, well, we're only going to build so many houses, but we're going to recount the EDUs as the plant goes along and maybe have additional development. So we're dealing with, moving the deck chairs on the Titanic to a certain extent. And I think that the county has to step forward. There were also allegations made, well, the county doesn't do this with the town of Easton. Well, it does. And there were several amendments to the comprehensive plan when Easton wanted to expand its development and a review of its plant. And it's a plant that is older than the one that is proposed for trap. We don't know how that's going to turn out. We have to monitor that. Also, the plant that's in Easton is run by Easton Utilities, which has been in existence for over 100 years. And it has a track record of maintaining infrastructure for development. I understand that the smart growth policy permits municipalities to step forward and have plans like this. Smart growth wants to preserve agricultural properties and focus growth where there's infrastructure. The problem with TRAP is the infrastructure isn't like the other municipalities we have here. It's developing as this development is going on. And that's a concern. And that's why we need to have a review at every stage. For instance, the Police Accountability Board, in its annual report, said, the town of Trapp currently has no police force and is patrolled by the sheriff's office. With the lakeside development under construction, there will be a corresponding increase in its residents. The PAB recommends that the council consider different pathways to ensure adequate law enforcement coverage for this area, including potential additional funding to the sheriff's office. It is to continue to provide if it is to continue to provide protective services to the township or to Trapp. So the county is already going to be called into subsidizing this development because the infrastructure for police department is not there. And we've been going to fire company banquets. And in talking with fire companies, I think that the local fire companies did a walkthrough of the development in 2021. And there are some very serious concerns about providing fire service and also emergency services. And they cite such things as the widths of the roads, the close proximity of the buildings or each of the residences, and some difficulties with building issues and how that could give way to a situation we recently had in Easton on Locust Street where fire went from one to another because they're so close together. So there's a lot going on here, and it's a long-term project, and it needs to be reviewed by the Planning Commission at each step. MDE started this by saying we need to look at this at every 100,000 gallons, and we do too. And particularly if the developer is considering, maybe expanding the number of homes because they may find out that you can have fewer EDUs with this system. So for that reason, I think it's extremely important to the citizens of Talbot County, not just the citizens of Trapp alone, that this be monitored and reviewed. If everything goes according to the way Trapp wants it to and hopes that it goes, great. Then we'll get through the review. But we need to have that, and I think the citizens of Talbot County deserve that, and that's why I'm sponsoring 338 and the amendment. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Melky. Any other discussion? Do we want to go ahead and this eligible for vote?
No.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
No.
Go ahead.
Just to expand on one Ms. Milky's points. She laid them out. Really, we're not looking to create an undue burden on the town of Trapp here. We're simply looking to echo the requirements that are already in the Maryland Department of the Environment's discharge permit, and simply add those to the county water and sewer approval. It's simply borrowing that same language, that same approach that the state has already applied in this case. And it really should not be onerous on the town of Trapp.
It's over. They said they paid it.
I just have a question for Brian, since he's in the back of the room from the town of Trapp. Oh, yeah, Ryan, you both can come up if you want to, but just have a question. So in your DRRA, it speaks to the police chief. Can you talk a little bit about that, as Ms. Milky stated, in regards to the sheriff and protection and additional funding possibly from the county?
Correct. So when the project first started, and Ryan may be able to correct me on a couple points here, but when the project first started, and the original DRA was established, it was established that Lakeside would pay for a police chief for, I want to say it was 4 or 5 years. I can't remember the exact year. That's when we hired George Ball. He was our police chief for more years than what the DRA required. George Ball has since moved on. We still have our, and I'm not familiar with all of the goings on with how to keep a police department specifically, but my understanding is we have all that paperwork still together, so that when we are ready, when we have enough constituents within the town borders, we can simply go through and hire a new police chief and start our police force up again.
So you have funding to hire a new police chief when the time comes?
When the time comes, yes, we should, yes. I mean, presently, as we aren't much, the number of people living within the town of Trapp is much higher than what it was a few years ago. Certainly the funding isn't there presently. But again, as the residents of Lakeside start to get built out and people start to move in, there will be the tax base there to help cover that.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was the only question I had.
Thank you, Brian.
I just had
Okay.
a comment.
Yeah, sure.
That it's my understanding that the First Amendment to the DRRA provided that there is no longer going to be a contribution from the developer for the police force, that they spent close to $1 million over the years for George Ball, but that's over and it's not their responsibility. So I just wanted to clear that for the record.
Correct. Yeah, as I mentioned before, a minute ago, that yes, he paid for the police chief, for our police force, if you will, for many years past when he was supposed to. And so I think he wanted to clarify that he's done his due diligence as far as that goes, even though Lakeside hadn't started, but that he went and...
No, the point I just wanted to make is that the DRRA no longer is the developer providing for funding for the police.
Correct, but as I mentioned, we still have
just what I wanted to clear for the
yeah,
record.
We still have our paperwork in place to start it up at any given time.
Okay, all right. Any other questions from council? Okay.
No.
All right.
Did you want
Unless Ron
to
wants
vote on
say
it?
Well,
You
it's
can-
eligible,
you
but
can
you
vote.
wanted to push it.
Excuse me?
You didn't,
You can.
Yeah, I just wanted to,
it's eligible for a vote.
Right, and I wanted to move the vote to the next meeting when we consider all three resolutions for vote in March.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, and you want to go ahead and hold the public hearing open?
Hold it open, yes.
Okay. All right, that's what we'll do then. All right, we'll go ahead and, council, we'll go ahead and vote on this in March when the planning commission gives their recommendations on all three.
Yes.
And we'll hold the public hearing open. Okay. All right, Madam Secretary, next resolution is 347.
Resolution number 347, a resolution to amend the Talbot County Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan to provide the equivalent dwelling units for all phases of the Lakeside development. And we have two amendments to this. as
Okay. Mr. Thomas, you want to go ahead and kind of brief us up on that one?
Yes.
If you would.
In April of 2023, MDE sent a letter to the county requesting that the county amend the comprehensive water and sewer plan to provide the EDUs for all phases of the Lakeside development and to address the water and sewer classifications of certain parcels whose classifications were incorrectly shown in the exhibits A and B to Resolution 281, even though those parcels were not part of the resolution.
Okay.
But Resolution 347 provides all phases for the Lakeside development along with the EDUs for each phase. The EDUs for phases 2 through 6 are all estimated, and the information was provided by the town and the developer. Amendment number 1 to Resolution 347 deletes the language, "The phases represent defined land uses only and do not represent the timing or sequence of development provided, however," in both with respect to the water and sewer future planning. Amendment number 2 to Resolution 347 incorporates the substantive provisions of Resolution 338 and Amendment number 1 thereto into Resolution 347.
Okay, that sounds good. So, okay, at this time, I'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Give you 3 minutes for individual and 5 minutes for if you're representing an organization. So here on my left, anybody want to come up on 347? Okay. Yes.
Hello again.
Yeah.
As stated in Lindsay Ryan's letter, the town is supportive of 347 in its original form, but opposes amendment number 2 for the same reasons that the town opposes resolution 338.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody here on the left here? Okay. Anybody here on the right want to come up? 347. Yep.
Members of council, thank you. Ryan Showalter on behalf of Trapeze Holdings Business Trust. I've previously submitted comments to you on all 3 resolutions, and I would make the same comment that you just heard. I would support Resolution 347 in the form and with the comments that I provided previously, but object to amendment number 2 for the same reasons that I commented on Resolution 338 in my letter.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else want to come up with? Yep. Come on up.
Hello, Brian Schmidt, Trap Town Council. My understanding of Resolution 347 was that MDE sent a letter last year asking the county to clarify the EDUs for Lakeside. 347 in its original draft answers that question. Subsequent amendments have only gone to politicize the original resolution. Housing EDUs of Lakeside have always been based on the county's TR zoning density. Hence, when the number of EDUs were calculated in 2003 for the 857-acre property, 2,501 was the number. And when the PUD plan was approved by the town of Trapp in 2021, there was still only 2,501 housing units. But what was confirmed in 2021 with the PUD was how exactly those EDUs were going to be divided on the property. That's never wavered. The commercial EDUs, which were a part of the first PUD plan, were also estimated at that time. All of this new construction will be supported by a brand new 540,000 gallon per day ENR wastewater treatment plant. I simply ask that you take the politics out of 347 and approve its original draft.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, anybody else want to come up? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Dan Watson. I'm the acting chair of the Talbot Integrity Project. Thank you for having this hearing. I just would like to make a comment with respect to Resolution 347, which is in response to MDE's request for information about the phasing of the development of TRAP. And we've all heard a number of recitations in other meetings in which the town and the developer both clarified, after answering the question about the phasing, that they clarified that the phasing does not really have anything to do with the sequence or the timing of development, but has to do with the neighborhoods. I just want to clarify, the question from MDE had to do with phasing, and in English, the word phase has to do with sequence and the ordinal sequence of things. It doesn't necessarily have to do with timing, because phase 2 can be 2 days after or 2 decades after phase 1, but it has to do with sequence. The responses that are in 347, just want to remind everybody, are responses that are, as Brian just said, have to do with where the EDUs are located. And indeed, the total number hasn't changed. That's not the issue of the quarrel. The point is that the way the developer and the town wish to respond to the question about phasing is to answer the question and then say, but the word phase doesn't mean phase. And that is just one illustration of the conceptual and linguistic problems embedded in this and some other legislation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Anybody else like to come up with 347? Okay. All right. Okay, at this time, I'll go ahead and keep the public hearing open, and we'll go ahead and let the Planning Commission decide on how they want to approach that in March. So moving on to the next resolution would be 348. Madam Secretary, could you go ahead and read 338 into the record, please?
Resolution number 348, a resolution regarding the Talbot County Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan to clarify and confirm the water and sewer classifications of certain parcels incorrectly shown in Exhibits A and B to Resolution number 281 as amended. And that
Okay.
also has an amendment.
Okay. Mr. Thomas, you want to go ahead and tell us what's going on with 348?
Yes, this is the second of the 2 resolutions requested by MDE last April. Resolution 348 clarifies and confirms the existing water and sewer classifications of those parcels whose classifications were incorrectly shown in Exhibits A and B to Resolution 281. It includes a map as an exhibit that shows the current water and sewer classifications of all parcels in the town for clarity, and the map also identifies the resolutions that established all of the classifications. Amendment number 1 to Resolution 348 clarifies and confirms the existing W2 S2 status of certain parcels in the Lakeside development that were established pursuant to Resolution 281.
Okay. All right, good. All right, so we'll go ahead and open the floor on 348, and you can come up in 3 minutes for individuals and 5 minutes for organizations. So on this side over here to my left here, anybody that wants to come up and talk about 348, please come on up. Okay. Over here to my right.
Again, Ryan Showalter on behalf of Trapeze Holdings Business Trust. I previously commented that we do not object to Resolution 348. Just want to state on the record, also do not object to Amendment 1 to 348.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else want to talk about 348? Okay. So I'll leave the public hearing open on 348 too, and we'll go ahead and send that to the planning commission, and hopefully the planning commission can come back with recommendation with those two, and that'll be in March. Okay, so council good? Okay. Next resolution is 352. Madam Secretary, could you read that into the record, please?
Resolution number 352, a resolution concerning the proposed annexation by the town of Trapp, Maryland, the town, of certain real property located on the north side of the town, east of Maryland Highway number 565 and south of Backtown Road in the 3rd election district of Talbot County, Maryland, consisting of 5.125 acres of land, more or less, and being a portion of parcel 302, shown on tax map 54, the property, finding that the property's proposed rezoning from Talbot County's town residential TR zoning to the town's industrial M zoning upon its annexation will result in substantially different uses or substantially higher density exceeding 50% than could be granted for proposed development under the county's TR zoning, and waiving the 5-year hold in accordance with section 4-416 of the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. So I'll go ahead and open the public hearing on this. 3 minutes for individuals, 5 minutes for an organization. Over here to my left, yep, come on up. Welcome, Mr. Smith.
Good evening, Council. Thank you. Zach Smith on behalf of Brian Halls, who's the property owner of the subject land. As I discussed before when I was before you, I think back in December, Brian owns a 38-acre parcel at the north end of Trapp. It's south of Backtown Road, east of 565. Did unanimously support that. They found it was consistent with their comprehensive plan, and they did vote to annex and apply the industrial zoning, subject to us seeking this waiver. And as I also explained when I was before you, Brian's plan there is to create a small industrial park on this property, not heavy in industry. Trapp's code doesn't allow that, but land use is consistent with what you might see Brooks Drive in Easton or Talbot Commerce Park in Easton. And so he would like to build a building and have a yard for his construction business, and then to make other spaces available for other similar uses. And I think the town found that that was good for the town. It creates economic investment. It will provide desirable services for the community and hopefully create some jobs, all of which we think is good for the town and good for the county. So the town has taken those actions, but again, because of the change in zoning and the substantial change, I guess, in zoning between the county TR and the town industrial zoning, in order for the town to immediately apply that industrial zoning to that portion that was recently annexed, it requires a waiver from the county council, and that's what we're seeking today. And also, just to comment, I made this point at the earlier meeting, the county's comprehensive plan already shows the entirety of the property as being within the town. It doesn't show that division of the lot. So it shows the entire property being in the town already, and importantly, the county's comprehensive plan suggests that industrial development and most commercial development should occur in the towns, not outside the town. So we think this is very consistent with that. And for those reasons, we would ask the council to grant the waiver. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else like to come up and talk about 352?
Brian Schmidt, Town of Trapp.
We know who you are.
Yeah, thanks. So just to kind of reiterate, yes, it's kind of basically cleaning up a few lines. It's asking to just kind of take the property that's adjacent to it, not really adjacent, a part of his property, and just putting in an industrial. So we just ask that you guys support Resolution 352.
Sounds great. Appreciate it. Okay. Anybody else like to come up 352? Okay. At this point, Madam Secretary, we're eligible for vote. Okay. So we can go ahead and, is there any discussion?
You know, it is the county's prerogative certainly to review these. This brings the county to the table in negotiations over newly annexed. This is a traditional check on the growth process in the state of Maryland. That said, I think that there's no reason not to grant this waiver and allow this to proceed. This is a business-friendly proposal, and I'm certainly prepared to support it for the benefit of the business, for the benefit of the tax base, for the benefit of the town of Trapp.
Okay, anybody else?
I just wanted to say that I understand from that standpoint what Mr. Lesher has said. However, looking at what's going on with Lakeside, I'm not sure that at this point in time, the town of Trapp has the infrastructure that would support this type of development and annexation. And maybe it should be tabled for a little while. But I would be opposed to it because I think there's not sufficient infrastructure to support it.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just need a clear map. Unless somebody can tell me how to change.
Do you want to ask that question on the record?
Okay. You need a clear map?
Yes, I need a clear
Okay.
map.
Do we have a
of the
map of?
property. I think I know where it is, but it's not loaded in Granicus in landscape. It's portrait. And I can't tell where the property is.
Hey, Brian, could you help us with the location or a map at this time, or Zach?
Is it on the same side as Thomas's Junkyard, or is it the opposite side of Backtown?
So the property in question is actually on Old Trap Road.
Say again, I'm sorry.
The property in question is actually on Old Trap Road.
Oh, it's on Old Trap Road.
If I had an actual Google Maps or whatever, I could show you exactly where it is.
Oh, I thought it was on Backtown.
I did too.
So the property is actually on the corner of Backtown and Old Trap Road.
Okay, so near the
You know where the
museum?
Royal Life Museum is?
Yes, that's what, yeah.
Yeah, so short history. Ms. Hilda Dreen Groves, who was Defender Packing, was the owner of that property years ago. Her brother, Charles Adams, at one point to establish the museum, basically took that property in its entirety, carved out a little spot for the museum as a separate parcel, and the rest of it became what Brian Haas owns.
Okay, so it's the corner of Backtown leading down Old Trap Road then, right?
So if you know where the Moores have their, so basically from the Moores all the way up to Old Trap Road, from the corner of Backtown down towards the woods. That is the property. But the property that is in question is basically a skinny piece of 5 acres that runs along the road.
Okay, got it. All right, I'm clear.
Brian, could you, one more time, could you just outline what the business is going to look like? I mean, I understand it's like contractor yard, or is that, do I understand it correctly?
So what was presented to us was something that, like the town of Easton has here on Commerce Drive or on Brooks Drive. So contractors or landscapers or something to that effect.
Aggregate storage, equipment storage, things like that, for someone who maybe possibly owns like a home-based business that just needs physical space.
Our zoning actually allows for the person who owns, so once this is subdivided off into lots, whoever owns that particular lot can live on site, but that's the only housing, but yeah.
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Are you
I'm clear.
comfortable with that?
Yep.
Okay, good,
I know
good.
where it is.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So, it's eligible vote, so we can go ahead and,
You can just vote,
Yep,
because it's been
yep.
read twice.
Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Nay.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay. All right. All right, next up, we've got Clay stuff.
County Manager Report.
That's exactly right.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Council President, members of the council. Under County Manager Report this evening, I have a number of items. First are board and committee appointments. And the first one involves the Agricultural Resolution Board. I'm going to speak slower tonight. Requesting the appointment of Brett Gannon to serve on the Agricultural Resolution Board.
Do I have,
Motion to approve Brett serving on the Agriculture Board.
okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Next, I'm asking council, requesting council for the appointment of Mr. Patrick Forrest as a full board member of the Board of Appeals. He has served well as an alternate for some time. I know, council, you've interviewed him, and we're requesting your consideration for appointment.
Motion to approve his appointment.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second to appoint Patrick Forrest to the Appeals Board. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And just a final note on that, there will be an opening for an alternate to the Board of Appeals, and we will be advertising that.
Okay.
The next is the Talbot County Local Drug and Alcohol Abuse Council, known as LDAC, requesting the appointment of Mr. James Reed to that council.
I'll move for the appointment.
Second.
Okay, Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
That completes your board and committee appointments for the evening. And moving on to the first item, I ask Brennan Tarleton and Lisa DeFlo to come forward if you'd like. They're coming up to request, to articulate a request from the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy for a letter of support for the FY25 Midshore Rural Legacy application. As you read in your agenda packet, the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy is requesting a letter of support for the FY25 Midshore Rural Legacy application for the Eastern Shore Heartland Rural Legacy Area and the Tuckahoe Rural Legacy Area. No county funds are required, and I'll hand it off to them to add any detail or answer any questions.
Thank you. Elisa DeFlo, Planning and Zoning. The Rural Legacy Land Preservation Program is administered by Eastern Shore Land Conservancy, and every year they ask for us to prioritize 2 areas in Talbot County. We have the Tuckahoe and the Eastern Shore Heartland in Trapp. Last year, you recommended that the prioritization be for the Eastern Shore Heartland, and we're recommending that again this year.
Okay.
Well, I just want to, I see Ms. Bean in the back for Eastern Shore Land Conservancy and want to thank them for the work that they're continuing to do in land preservation in Talbot County, and this will be another important step in that direction. So this is a great funding opportunity for us to be able to further that important goal, and I'll move for the letter of support.
Second.
With emphasis as recommended by staff.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second for a letter of support. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
You did a great job, Brendan.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item, council, we have Rich Setter, your golf manager. He'll come forward. He's going to be presenting you with a request for the 2024 golf course rate and fee schedule. I'll yield to him to fill you in on the details.
Evening, everybody.
Evening.
Rich Setter, head golf professional, Hogneck Golf Course. So just looking to increase our rates just a little bit to cover the continuing costs of operating the golf course. We had a couple of lease agreements on some equipment that came due this year, which has caused some fees to go up. And obviously the minimum wage increase on January 1 affects the majority of the staff that we have there. So small increases. in our rates. One thing I try to do is I try to hold the rates as tight as we can because obviously golf is an ancillary thing, and we want citizens in Talbot County to be able to afford and play golf as much as possible. We are still well under our competitors in the River Marsh Golf Course at the Hyatt, and then Queenstown Golf Club down in Queenstown. So, and then one more thing I'm very proud of is our Talbot County rate for citizens is staying exactly the same as it was last year.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, any questions from council? Okay.
And you have, as always, vetted this with the golf board, so this has their
support,
blessing.
yes.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the request as has been forwarded to council.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second to move forward with the fees. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And Rich, you'll be publishing those rates on your website. People will be able to see those
Tomorrow morning.
tomorrow morning.
Hey,
They're all asking for them.
hey,
That's for
Rich,
sure.
right, while you're here, do you want to give just a 1 minute update on the what you're doing out there?
Sure. So
Yep.
our project at the range is moving along slowly, but we're going to start to see some things happening. On Thursday of this week, we have a small tree company coming in to limb up the trees on both sides of the range in preparation for the safety netting that'll be going up down there. And then in March, we'll have the installation of 15 of the power tees, which is kind of cool. We will be the only municipal golf course in the United States to have that at their driving range, which is really exciting for.
Make sure they understand what they're getting.
So what a power tee is, it's a brand new hitting mat, and it automatically tees up the golf ball for you. There's a mechanism where you pour the balls into a hopper and it tees it up. It's going to be really nice for kids are going to love it just for the fun and the novelty, but senior citizens are really going to love it because you don't have to bend over every single time to tee up a golf ball. So you can practice longer and get more out of your practice.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Well, please keep us up to date on all that.
Absolutely, I will.
Okay.
Thank you for your support. Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
I thought everybody here was tonight about the golf fees. I was kind of glad they cleared up.
Okay.
Thank you, Rich. The next item, council, we have actually two items on behalf of Preston Pepper, your Director of Parks and Recreation, who can't be with us this evening. The first one is a request from the Department of Parks and Recreation to renew a contract bid number 2302 grass cutting services. This is for parks and ball fields and landings in Talbot County for the 2024 season. As you read in your agenda packet, they're requesting council approve and renew the contract with Riverside Lawn Service for the 24 season in the amount of $44,994. This is renewing an existing contract. And there are funds available.
Motion to approve the request.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second to approve a request. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, council. Next item is also a request from the Department of Parks and Recreation for approval to renew the pool management contract with Coastline Pool Service for the operation and maintenance of the George Murphy and Bay 100 community pools for the 2024 season in the total sum of $275,000. This is an extension of existing contract. There is an increase of $5,000 from last year. I will convey that Mr. Pepper is quite happy with the services that are provided by this company in overseeing those pools.
Okay.
Motion to approve the request.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second to approve the pool contract. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And council, the next item I have is I'm requesting that you approve a contract of sale for the acquisition of property. I'm requesting council approval for the purchase of 126.296 acres of land known as the Poplar Hill Farm located in Easton, Maryland for future county use, which includes preserving open space and critical area in the amount of $6 million. The property was appraised in January of this year, listing with a market value of $1,990,000. Funding for this acquisition, if approved by council, would be authorized by capital enabling legislation, Bill number 1534, appropriation to purchase improved or unapproved real property for future county purposes. There are sufficient funds available for this purchase.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we got a motion second
Just-
to, go ahead.
Just comment on this. This is pretty significant. The council's, Talbot County's acquisition of the Poplar Hill Farm. Just for history, we certainly were looking at a piece of this, the previous council was just a few years back, for county facilities. There is going to be a future need for county facilities. There is no closer parcel of such acreage to the downtown area. And so I think that this is a really significant and unique opportunity. And I want to express my gratitude to the sellers for approaching us with this opportunity. This is a really, really significant deal.
Okay. Anybody else? Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Mrs. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, council. We're finally requesting a letter of support to the legislature seeking complete restoration of CADE funding formula for community colleges. As proposed in the FY25, the governor's budget and management office has issued historic funding cuts to community colleges with the CADE funding formula impacted for Chesapeake College. This represents a 10% cut from last year's allocation. And again, we're requesting your consideration to send a letter to restore the funding.
Motion to send the letter of support.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second to try to help Chesapeake College
Well, and to help every community college.
Yeah.
This is a statewide formula,
Correct.
which is been in place for years, and the proposed budget for the state is going to violate that traditional agreement for how our community colleges are funded. That will have a damaging effect on every community college, including Chesapeake College, and therefore the access to all of the classes and services offered by Chesapeake College to Talbot County students and residents. This is an important move, and I'm thrilled that
Okay.
we're teeing this up for
Good.
to oppose this cut.
Just to piggyback on this for a moment, as you know, council, one of our biggest challenges, and not unique to Talbot County, is the workforce. It's retention of key employees, but it's recruitment of new employees. An example is Chesapeake College has an amazing paramedic and EMT program. Well, that's an area that we struggle with day in and day out to find, to augment our workforce. So these jobs that are provided through the education given at our community colleges is critical for us to solve our workforce issues and provide the key services to the citizens of Talbot County.
Okay. All right. I think we had a motion second.
second.
Yeah, we had motion second.
Yes,
Madam
we did.
Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And council, I have just a couple of announcements. I'll ask Nancy Andrews to come forward. And as she comes forward, I just wanted to announce that the Goldsboro Neck Road work will begin on or about Monday, February 19th, 2024, weather permitting, and will last 30 days. And the detour route is posted and certainly can be accessed by our website, where we'll keep up information on the progress of that job. Again, it's expected to last 30 days, and it's at Goldsboro Neck Road, just off Glebe Road. And I'm going to hand it over to Nancy. She wants to share an update on a lunch and learn opportunity. Nancy?
Yeah, thank you. So Nancy Andrew, Director of Talbot Family Network. We're the local management board for Talbot County. We are partnering with the Talbot County Department of Economic Development and Tourism to host a presentation by Maryland's new Department of Service and Civic Innovation. So just wanted a moment to come and extend an invitation to the council to join us next Wednesday, the 21st, from 12 noon to 1 p.m. at the Talbot County Free Library. Make that invitation to everyone who lives and works in Talbot County. This is an opportunity for our community members to learn about this new workforce development program that's available to community members 18 and older with or without a college or with or without a high school diploma. There's Maryland Corps and Service Year. We want to make sure this program launched last year, but we really want to make sure that our businesses, our employers, our nonprofits, but also our community members are aware of this opportunity here on the Eastern Shore so that our Talbot County community is represented. So please come join us for lunch and extend the invitation to other community members. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you,
Great. Thank you,
Nancy.
Nancy.
Just a shout out to Nancy for her good work with the Talbot Family Network. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
And then finally, council, just wanted to make the public aware that county offices will be closed on Monday, February 19th for President's Day. That completes your county manager report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, did we have?
Nobody signed up this week.
Okay, all right. Any, okay, so a public comment. Does anybody want to come up and say anything? Okay. All right, we'll move on to council comments. Mr. Stepp?
I will just, I'd just like to add, had a meeting earlier today with Clay and Jessica, as well as Sarah. She's not with us anymore for today, but Sarah from Communications, as well as Cassandra Van Hooser. We started conversations about Talbot Day, which, as many of you know, we initiated a proclamation designated April 25th as Talbot Day, basically to celebrate all things Talbot. And conversations are already underway on how we're going to make that special here in Talbot County. Really looking forward to it. Looking forward to see what comes out of it, see what our community can help contribute to make this what we unanimously as a council had envisioned. And you know, it was a really productive meeting. Looking forward to growing it and seeing it come to life. Thank you.
Mr. Lusher?
Nothing further from me.
Okay.
Nothing further from me.
Okay.
Nothing further from me.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and the only thing I want to say is tonight, like Mr. Lusher said, we had an opportunity to engage in Poplar Hill, and I think that situation there for Talbot County was huge. It's phenomenal. It's something that we're all going to be proud of, and I'm glad this council chose to do that. That's for sure. So it's something that we're all going to be proud of in years to come. That's for sure. Other than that, Mr. Lusher, you want to take it away?
The County Council's next meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 27th, beginning at 6 o'clock p.m. The council will be convening an open session at 4 o'clock p.m. and then adjourning into closed session as listed on the statement for closing that meeting. Therefore, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting and reconvene as noted?
So moved. Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, thanks a lot.